And we are live. Yay!
Yay!
Excited. Thank you for everyone who is attending. This is this is what, July's episode of CAD Chats. We do this every month. Last Thursday of the month. This month, we're actually doing it a little early because next Thursday is my honey bunny's birthday. So I'm going to be spending it with him. But it's 5 Thursdays this month. So technically, it's around the same time that we normally have it. Anyway, really excited to get into CAD Chats. We chat with designers, those who are using any type of computer-aided design. And in today's case, that is someone who is not only a designer, but also product development, manufacturing. She'll tell you all about it. But just, our chance to geek out about computer-aided design and how we use it in the fashion industry. So I'm going to let our guest introduce herself, and I'm gonna solo you, and I'm gonna give you a clap. So hold on, don't introduce yourself just yet. Okay. There we go. Let us know how you got into fashion.
Hi. I got into fashion because when I was a little girl, I was about 3 years old, and I was gifted a toy sewing machine.
Nice.
And then, unbeknownst to me, that's how I started making patterns. It was one of those Barbie. It was really more like a gluing machine. It would come with little patterns. And then after that, I got a G.I. Joe, and he was my first fit model. So it all started from there.
Nice.
Unofficially. Officially, I actually decided to study fashion design and merchandising in the late 80s. And it was a choice between that and journalism. But
Same.
Really? Yeah.
Yes.
You know what? I didn't choose journalism because I thought, okay, 2 years for fashion design versus 4 years for journalism. No, I'm just going to go 2 years. So I was very lucky that I was able to start earning college credit while I was still in high school. So my senior year, I did about over 20 units while I was still going to high school the first semester. And the second semester, I pretty much took all the other units that I needed to complete all the fashion related classes. And I also took some costume design and restoration classes too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's how I got started.
Wow, exciting. That's pretty cool. Okay, so the question of the day. What digital software do you primarily use? How do you make use of it? And then what other types of software you use? Because I know you use multiple things.
Yeah, well, these days I primarily still use CAD, 2D CAD. I use it for pattern making, grading, and marker layouts. So that's sort of like the center of my universe, and it has been for since 95, since I started using that software. But I also use it in conjunction these days with, obviously, I've been using Illustrator since like the beginning of times. I think I started with version 5 or 6, and Photoshop. So it depends on what the project entails. I mean, some people come to me for, full product development. Some others, for me, my definition of full product development, somebody will come to us with an idea. And then, I always ask for a reference garment to begin with, or a reference product, because we do soft goods in general, which is, other things besides apparel. So depending on where the client is at, some we also have clients who just want us to do sampling for them to send to the factory of their choice overseas. I mean, we get all sorts, but the most in demand sort of type of project is full product development, which involves the technical flat, the sourcing, the pattern making, and the sample.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Gotcha. So now, is there a particular 2D CAD system? Like, is it like pad system? Is it Electra? Is it anything like that?
I trained in Electra, Investronica, and Gerber, and
Mhm.
Pat System.
Mhm.
So Pat System overall consistently comes ahead in terms of its user friendliness. And
Mhm.
it's been ahead of the others for a long time, I feel, because it's very intuitive and it's very user friendly.
I have
And
heard a lot of people say that.
yes, and these days, I actually found a way to, it's a proprietary module that I created, that I wrote, so that we use 3D look to capture our clients' measurements when they're not local.
Wow.
And then from there, I developed an algorithm that, based on those measurements, when we draft the pattern, it's able to basically customize a lot of those measurements on the pattern without a whole lot of work and effort.
What? Shut the front door.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, wait,
I
wait,
mean,
wait, wait.
that's fairly
Hold,
recent.
hold on, hold on. Go back. Before you said before the algorithm, you developed a program that
Yes,
is
it's a little
like
program.
something that's part of something you wrote
Yeah,
for your pattern making system.
I take the measurements from my 3D model, the 3D scan, and apply them to the pattern that I'm working on.
Wow, that's insane. I love
Yeah. So
it.
I work, obviously that's becoming the bulk of my work.
Hmm.
Um and but it also helps that since I've been using CAD for so long, I've been doing digital pattern making for so long. I mean, I started in 95, and then when I launched the business. So basically, since 1997, I've now accumulated a database of about 25,000 patterns.
Hmm. Wow.
So it's a
So
lot.
do you
It
have to
makes it
make
a lot easier.
anything from scratch?
You do, because sometimes, so there's a lot of fabric variations that a lot of people don't really know of. For example,
Mm,
you could have a fabric, especially knits. You could have a knit that is in three colorways. Okay, let's just say a beige, like a red, and a black. Okay, the black, if it's garment dye, the black is always going to shrink more than the white,
mm,
even though it's the
mhm,
same fabric. But you don't really get to see that until you run shrinkage tests and you've basically decided if it's worth it to have a different pattern for shrinkage. If the difference is large enough to do that, then you go ahead
mhm.
and do that. And those are the things that I feel where we're still a long way from being able to completely do away with physical samples, which is what I think a lot of
Yeah.
people have been sold on, this idea. Oh, you'll never need another sample again. With like Flow 3D. Listen, I've been using 3D since 2003. Back
Mhm.
when I literally had to like create my own UV maps from scratch with Photoshop, and
Wow.
the old fashioned way. I used to use Poser and Blender, and then there was another program called View the Spree that was
Mhm.
very good for lighting. It was very user friendly too, and it didn't need a lot of resources, like computer resources. So I've been tinkering in one way or another with 3D, and I forgot to say this. Pad was the first one that had an integrated 3D module.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact,
Interesting.
the movie The Invisibles,
Mhm.
that they used Pad System 3D for that, for the costumes of the
Huh.
characters of
I'll have
that.
to look that up.
Yep. So, I mean, eventually they decided that, it wasn't the most user friendly. I learned how to use it, but only because by then I had already been playing with, other software that wasn't nearly as user friendly, at least for me. But, for the average person compared to Clo 3D today, it was not very user friendly at all. I mean, because you also have to know Maya. That's another 3D software
Oof.
that I learned.
I've heard Maya is quite tricky.
It's it's a
Challenging, we'll say that.
it's yeah, it's the gorilla of the industry. I mean, you can do amazing things with it, but it's very, it's a very steep learning curve.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
So, I mean, you know looking back, I mean, I first started, believe it or not, I first started using 3D as an accident because I used to develop all my prints, and I had this concept of like t-shirts, for example, where you would see the front, and let's say that it was, I don't know, some chicken out in, in outer space, or like some like nymph with like these beautiful butterfly wings, right? And the concept was like the front would show you the front of this, like, butterfly girl, and then the back of it would show you the back, as if you turn around, and when you were looking at her from the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I used to take photos of my sister. She was my model, and one time I came up with this really, really cool artwork, but I only had time to photograph it from the front. So I thought, oh my god, but I'm gonna need a chick that is like butt naked to photograph her behind, right? So I thought, how do I do this? How do I do this? And I really, really wanted to release that print. I thought, okay, I'm gonna see if there's anything I can buy, or any photograph that I can buy. And then I came across an ad for Poser, and they had a free trial, so I figured, I have nothing to lose, and I was pretty surprised at how easy it was, to use, at least for me to get, the results I wanted at that moment. And then
Mm-hmm.
from there, I just started, practicing with it more, and then I discovered Blender, and that's pretty much how it started. It started by accident.
Wow. Wow. And you are mimicking what a lot of other 3D designers do, where they've all said like they use one program and then they need to do something else, but the program that they were using doesn't do that, so they end up learning another program, and then they kind of reach the limits of what that program can do, and they need to do something else, and then they learn another program. I think the 3D designers are like the CAD specialists who know the most programs of everybody.
Yeah, especially, when you've been doing it for a while. Like back then, I would tell other designers, "Oh, I'm using 3D," and they would look at me like I had a third eye. I mean, they're like, "What?"
I'm sure.
Yeah. And then I had this idea that I was going to start using 3D models. Uh, but, I it didn't work. I mean, people didn't know what to make of it, really.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was too, this is
That's
in
kind of a tricky
2000,
area.
yeah, 2005. So, I
Yeah.
was like, okay, well, I tried it. At least I know at its core how it works. I know the basics of it.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
I figure I could always build from there eventually.
Right. Right. So let's look at some of your work.
Oh
And I
boy.
had a very hard time. It's great. I had a very hard time picking and choosing. I probably have too much. Okay, so this is what program did you use for this? Was this like
That's
Illustrator?
Illustrator. Yeah,
Or,
that's
okay.
Illustrator.
And so all of these pages would be what you would put in maybe like a tech pack, or that you would expect from someone to give
Well,
to you if they want to make this.
well, this is what we create to
Mm-hmm.
produce samples in our factory.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this works for our factory, but then again, we have we work very closely with our clients, where we
Mm-hmm.
require for them to provide us pretty, a lot of approvals, pretty solid data too, to feel comfortable enough to start a project with them.
Gotcha.
They have to meet certain criteria. If they don't even know what it's supposed to be made of, what's going to measure, and how it's supposed to perform, I mean, they don't have a business, they have a hobby.
Right.
And that's
Right.
fine. We're not a hobby factory.
Right. That part. That part. And this was AI or was it 3D?
Yeah, that's AI. Yeah, that was New York
It
AI.
looks cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks really cool.
yeah, and I started noticing, like, when I started doing that, and I mean, the client approvals like started like skyrocketing, the approval rates.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it looks very, especially when you're talking about accessories and like technical sketches for accessories. Like, I know what this is, but
Mm-hmm.
if you've got somebody who is not used to looking at a flat sketch and understanding pattern, like they're like, what am I looking at? But this,
Yeah,
they're like, oh, yeah, I like that bag. Let's do it.
yeah, yeah. So the AI. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's one of my.
Yes. So, well, I'm curious to know what tool this was.
That was a Blender, and yeah, it was mainly Blender.
Wow.
Yeah, that took a while, but I think I this is how I get ideas out of clients' heads.
This is fun. What were they using this for?
Basically to fly, it's like a hang glider.
Oh, got it, got it. Yes, yes, yes. And this is cool too. Like, what did you use for this?
Well, they were the ones that provided me with that sheet.
Okay.
Because I again, I mean, I can spend a lot of hours and charge them a nice chunk of money to do that, trying to read their minds. But if they want to, the way I see it, the way I explain to them, listen, if you want to finish the project before the end of the decade, I need a little more information.
Right, right. Cool. Yeah, this is really cool. And I couldn't put the video in here of the actual, but take my word for it, y'all. It looks just like the picture.
And
But
that's a
these are
miniature.
great.
And that's a miniature. So with something of that size, I've also done those jumpers, those bouncy castles too. And
Mhm.
with for larger projects like that, I just do them at scale. I just do them at depending on the size. I mean, for the bouncy castles, I usually do them at like quarter scale
Mhm.
or half scale. Um,
Mhm.
and what I found is that sometimes they like those half scaled ones because they can sell them, for people to buy and put them up in their backyard, and they just rent the blower, basically the air blower. Uh,
Gotcha.
but yeah, I mean, I do all this at quarters. And this one I did at half scale.
Mhm. Gotcha. And this is from your 2D system.
Yeah, that's the cat system,
These are all the
the pattern
patterns.
making. Yeah,
And I noticed that I'm not sure if I have more than, I think I have it at the end, but would this be something that you include in there? Is it like a cutter's must?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
That's because you know what? A lot of the times, like for example, we have a criteria for working for third party patterns that we're willing to work with. Okay, they gotta have a
Hmm.
cutter's must. They gotta be labeled following industry standards. They gotta be the seam allowances have to be marked. If we don't have all of that, and if they don't, and we have to, even if they have a CAD file that is in a compatible format, we still need the printout, because a lot of times you lose the grading, or it gets distorted, it gets damaged, it doesn't translate very well, and you wouldn't
Yeah.
know that unless you have a printout of it.
Right. Right. I want to come back to that once we're finished, but
Mm.
yes. Um, and so are these the t-shirts you were talking about?
Yeah,
These are fun.
2003. Yeah.
These are fun. These are really fun. Okay, now this I wanted to show because for everyone who um, talks about tech packs, and they're like, oh, I do tech packs. Or
Mm.
for folks who don't do a tech pack and they don't really understand what's in it, this is a tech pack for a pant, and it's 9 pages, y'all. 9 pages. Okay. So you have your cover page, and I'm assuming you did the sketch in Illustrator.
Yeah. Illustrator.
So we have your cover page. Then this is like maybe like fabrics and trim.
Trims.
Okay. Then this is specifications. And now to me, these are not all of them, because some of them are not, but these to me feel like design specifications.
Yes,
so
they are.
Am I wrong that they're like basic specs and then like design specs? Because like our tech designer would have, like we would, we design something and say, okay, use this block. And so most of the basic specs they already know, like, we're doing this, and, it fits like this, it's this long, this is the body length, this is the inseam, this is whatever, right?
Right.
But then there's some other things, like maybe you added in the gusset, or you have these patches in the front and the stirrup and all these other things. Maybe this time you decided that the hem is going to be higher than what it normally is. That's the stuff that I put onto this page, because that's also the thing that the tech designer is not going to know, So we did this page. Now, I am not sure. I think after everything we did the final fitting, then the tech designer took over this page, so that if there was anything that was different, they corrected it, so that it wasn't like a whole lot of back and forth. Like they kind of owned all of that. But I remember just going back and forth with somebody who was like, why do you have all these? You shouldn't have 2 different pages. And I'm like, well, it made sense to me. But this is going back to the conversation that we were having on LinkedIn before, where it's like, okay, we can all say this is what makes sense, but what really matters
for you is working in front of your computer in your nice cozy office.
But if it doesn't make sense to the manufacturer,
because I actually have to make it work.
right exactly. So moral of the story is, ask a manufacturer, because they will tell you if this
ask
is
them exactly
a good idea or not.
And you know what? I always start with that. I always give people a list of specifically what I need. And then a lot of times I get, well, what if I can't get you that? Then, you know what? Then you're going to be compromising the quality of the results. If you want to sign a waiver agreeing to that, here you go.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because there's only so much we can anticipate without some solid data. Like, these measurements, I mean, they're a good starting point.
Yeah.
But if you notice, okay, so this is a good starting point for us, because remember, this is part of a package. This is part of a package, and the package includes the pattern and the sample. So we actually, this is the sheet that our sewers would refer to, just to look at different details. Oh, no, this would be for the pattern makers more than anything. Because the pattern itself is what tells them, what seams and all of that. Right.
Okay, then we have stitches, which we have never I will tell you that the design team has never liked to do this. Well, okay, so we would prefer to just put on here single needle, double needle, and I personally make my students say whether it's a top stitch or a cover stitch, or at least that part, because you can see 2 needle and it's a double needle, but is it a cover stitch or is it a top stitch? I remember we went through a phase at one point where our tech design team was like, you need to put the ISO number. That lasted for like a month. We protested that away. So
Right.
now they put it in the tech pack, but on our page like this, it's more like we're just putting single needle top stitch, double needle cover stitch. At the very least, I'm like, okay, I at least need to say what it actually is, so is it a reverse cover stitch? You know, at least be a little more descriptive than single needle, double needle,
I mean,
cover stitch. I mean, I, you
I mean,
know,
and listen, remember, I started out as a designer. I know what you mean, and worse
mm,
yet, I started out as a designer at a time where we had to do everything by hand. So believe me,
yeah.
if anyone wanted to save time and effort, it was me in the late '80s, early '90s. Okay. However,
Mm-hmm.
however, I also learned from it was this huge company, and that I feel it was my sort of like my eye-opening experience. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I worked for Rampage Clothing, and at the time they were super ahead of everyone. It was them and another company called Chorus Line and XOXO. It was the three giants at the time. Okay, they
Yeah.
used to like take over like almost like half of each company used to have like half of the juniors floor on Macy's and the largest retailers at the time. But
Mm-hmm.
one thing that was different about Rampage, the owner was very young. I mean, he's only like 10 years older than me, maybe not even that much older than me. Um, and he basically used to let us kids kind of like run loose.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all of us were in our 20s, and there was this like giant corporation like mushrooming like out of control.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the first time where I saw where I worked at a place where they had a fully digitized marking, grading, in pattern making, production pattern
Mm.
making. So what they used to do at the time, because the system was very expensive. I'm talking about what 1992.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I literally got to see the future, how it worked, how it's going to work, and
Yeah.
how I had to prepare. And they also had an in-house sampling, and at the time they were still manufacturing a lot locally. However, they were one of the first companies that started sending stuff to be manufactured in Hong Kong. So I
Hmm.
learned how to. I started out as a spec writer, and then made. There was a recession, and I saw that all the designs started rolling. Design had started rolling, okay, because that's usually what happens in a recession. It's like the creatives are the first ones
Of
to go,
course.
you
Of
know.
course.
So I thought, okay, well, what's an area where they're always looking for people? I know, pre-production. So pre-production used to basically I you used to approve. I used to have to approve the TOPs from the local factories, um, and they would use that approval to deliver it to shipping. But
Mm-hmm.
I had to, go over it with the specification, with the production approved production sample, compare it, and either approve it or reject it. Um, so that's where I first learned how like the connection between design, pre-production, and then production, and
Yeah.
how it works with the factories.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But
I
yeah,
I don't
that's
mean to
kind of
cut
like,
you off,
yeah.
but we are almost out of time. We have like one
No.
minute, and I want to get to this one question because someone asked, "What exactly is the difference between a soft goods engineer and a tech designer?"
Oh, oh, okay.
She says she's
Well,
always heard tech designers described as the engineers of fashion, so the distinction is a little fuzzy.
a technical designer, even that there's different levels. I mean, I've come across people who are really uh, product developers that are, falling into, that are doing tech design, that have tech design positions. But then a soft goods engineer, like soft goods, really, it's like anything that can be stitched with a sewing machine. Beyond, it could be, I worked on furniture, accessories, pet products, automotive, hang gliders, inflatable castles, anything beyond, it's clothing and beyond, basically.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Interesting. Well, look at that. This is why I said we got to have we got to do a video together or something, because we could have been going on for
Ever.
another hour. I know. But we're out of time. And thank you so much for being a guest. I'll have to have you back again.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you to everyone who attended and watched and asked questions and commented. Really appreciate it. And so we will see you next month at the end, last Thursday of the month. Same bat time, same bat channel. I don't remember what date it is, but it's last Thursday of the month. So we'll see you then, talking to yet another designer who loves CAD, and we'll geek out again. Bye.
Bye.